It's Kevin McCullough on AM 970, The Answer.
You're listening to Kevin McCullough Radio, where we talk about breaking news as it happens, what it means, and why it matters.
Kevin McCullough, and here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Obliterating confusion.
Amplifying truth.
And pursuing clarity.
Kevin McCullough, now.
We've got breaking political news in New Jersey on two fronts, both the Bob Menendez trial and the governor's race. We'll get to that. It's a Money Monday, and what does a record Dow mean? David Fisher's here to discuss. Gina Loudon on reaction to some of the president's actions over the weekend. And we start, of course, with the breaking headlines. Kevin McCullough, stay with us.
Kevin McCullough.
Something interesting is happening with this.
Kevin McCullough, let me start with you.
I found this thing at townhall.com by Kevin McCullough. The big dog has come out of nowhere.
Kevin McCullough.
I just want to help people think.
Nationally syndicated radio host and author of No He Can't.
And he's playing the role as well as anybody could.
Kevin McCullough is a nationally syndicated radio host and author of No He Can't.
The odds are he's right.
It's Kevin McCullough Radio.
We are probably now, despite what we read, we're probably now, I think, at least as far as I'm concerned, closer than ever before.
I want to underscore what the president said. We have the same agenda. We've been friends and acquaintances for a long time. We talk frequently.
Oh, that's some good acting there on both of their parts. Yeah, they're close friends, except that one is the epitome of the swamp that the other wants to drain. Except for that, they're just, tight as can be. Actually, they're going to have a working relationship because they are getting to the point now in the first year where it's got to get done. And there's a lot that needs to get done. And so as funny as it may be, and look, I've been in private meetings. When we went to the nation's capital a couple of months ago, we went to a private reception with the speaker and or the majority leader, and we were at the White House earlier in the day. And it is odd, but you know what? It's good because they need to work together, and the president needs the majority leader needs the president. They've got to get some stuff done. They've got to get a budget passed. They've got to get tax reform done. They've got to get health care finally taken care of. So there's a lot to do. Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us. 888-340-3373 if you ever want to weigh in. Of course, the phone line always open to you. And the president had a busy day. He was lunching with Mr. Mitch McConnell, who's droll you heard in that last soundbite. And after lunch, they held a press conference, and they talked about some of the things that they knew they do need to get started on. Cut 7.
We're fighting for the same thing. We're fighting for lower taxes, big tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts in the history of our nation. We're fighting for tax reform as part of that. We are getting close to health care. We'll come up in the early to mid part of next year. We're going to have a vote. I think we already have the votes. We feel confident we have the votes. You pretty much know what the plan is.
And that's just some of the list. But it was interesting to also hear McConnell from the other side. You've heard a lot from the president about his view of the leadership of the congressional bodies. But McConnell had a chance to weigh in for the first time today. Cut 8.
I want to underscore what the president said. We have the same agenda. We've been friends and acquaintances for a long time. We talk frequently. We don't give you a readout every time we have a conversation, but frequently we talk on the weekends about the issues that are before us.
Really? We talk frequently on weekends when one of us is golfing and the other one is home watching our stories. I'm sorry. It's just it's a little bit of Bert and Ernie here. He went on to say that there's a lot of work to do. Mainly, a lot of these confirmations, both in the judiciary and in the appointments, the under positions that still haven't been filled in much of the administration. Cut 9.
The Senate's unique role that seems to me a lot of people forget. We're in the personnel business. There are 1,200 of the president's nomination subject to confirmation in the Senate. The House is not in the personnel business. We are. The single most significant thing this president has done to change America is the appointment of Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. But it's not just the Supreme Court. There are a lot of vacancies at both the circuit court and district court level, as the president's indicated, young, conservative. And when we say conservative about a judge, what we're talking about here are the kind of people the president's appointing to the courts believe that the role of a judge is to try to rule based upon what the law says, not what they hoped the outcome would be.
Well, and that's a very bona fide position to be picking judges based upon, is it not? We want judges that come in and just, they forget the rule of law, we'll just make it up as we go. No, that's not what we want. We want somebody that comes in and goes, okay, what does the law say? The law says this. What does the Constitution say? Constitution says this. Okay, then we're gonna decide these cases based on the words that are on the paper. Because that's the job of the judge. The job of the judge is to say, well, wait a minute. I hear what you're saying to me in your arguments, but the law says boom, boom, boom. And if what you say doesn't match with what the law says, then I'm sorry, I have to rule against you. That's the way it's supposed to work. So when Leader McConnell says, one of the greatest things he's done, the greatest way, it is. And the Supreme Court will continue to be something that the president will watch very carefully. But all those lower courts will be addressed as well. More on that coming up before we're done tonight as well. Okay, so they had a whole happy time in the Rose Garden today. And last but not least, they did say tax reform is on the way. Cut 10.
I really believe that we have a very good chance, and I think Mitch feels the same way, of getting the taxes done, hopefully fairly long before the end of the year. That's what we'd like to see. Go ahead.
Let me just add to what the president said. The goal is to get it done this calendar year. But it is important to remember that Obama signed Obamacare in March of year 2. Obama signed Dodd-Frank in July of year 2. We're going to get this job done, and the goal is to get it done by the end of the year.
Well, and they better. And Mitch is being a little disingenuous there. Obama didn't sign it until March. That's true. But they passed it on, Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve? They passed it at the end of his first year. So he may be trying to give himself a little wiggle room there. They need to get this done. There doesn't need to be any more delays because the 18 elections are upon us. And if we don't want to have people coming back and throwing shade at everything that was said about what was going to be done, you got to get off your hiney and get it done, Leader McConnell. So please do that. I actually think today, and it'd be interesting to see what Frank Morano has to say about this tomorrow on the morning show, but I actually think that today, for all the aw-shucksing that went on, I actually think is fairly healthy for the democracy. That you have the sitting majority leader who has the process under his control in the Senate and the president having lunch, having in-depth policy discussions, what they want to accomplish, and then going out and taking the questions together. I think it shows a real unified front. Oh, and by the way, there's reasons that the president should be quite encouraged about where they stand. Because for every Republican that has to run in 2018, there are some Democrats that have to as well. And there are some Democrats in some districts that Trump won by a huge lot of votes. And when you're talking about a senator who has to be as conservative in like West Virginia as Joe Manchin does, and you need someone to talk about tax reform, and those Trump voters in his district definitely want tax reform to take place, you might see a few Democrats cross that aisle. And that's not a bad thing. The president said today that Republicans and Democrats are working together to come up with these mutual solutions. I don't know how much of that is fact from fiction. I honestly don't. Is it just that he's hoping that they are? Is it that they actually are and we just not seeing any of it? But the more that actually put their votes on the line, that put their name on the bill, at the end of the day, that's going to be what's best for all of us. So the more that President Trump can continue to do his agenda, what he promised, what he ran on, And he got pinged a little bit on the Iran, decertifying today. I thought he answered it brilliantly. We'll talk about this a little bit more. I want to ask Dr. Gina about this. But I thought that I think that he's implementing his agenda. And so for people that were very pro-Trump going into the election, even if you were super enthusiastic about him in the primary, you've got to still be just as enthusiastic, because the only thing he's accomplished is just checklist. What did I promise about this? Done. What did I promise about this? Done. Okay, health care, Congress was a complete set of jerks to work with. I'll do the executive order for the workaround. We'll get it done in January. Boom. Tax reform is one of those things. Budget's got to get done. But, friends, we're in a good shape. And I think the stock market has reflected that today in a fairly significant way. We'll ask David Fisher more about that coming up. All right, so we got Dr. Gina Loudon. We've got breaking political news on two fronts in New Jersey tonight. We'll get into that. We've got Money Monday, and we've got a look at an unbelievable NFL protest that, well, it just defies credulity. All before we're done. Kevin McCullough, stay with us.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer. Hugh Hewitt believes he knows the next move from the White House.
The Secretary of State has to represent the president. You cannot have a president be represented abroad by someone who thinks he's a moron. I confirmed in my own reporting this weekend that the president is talking about replacing Secretary Tillerson with CIA Director Mike Pompeo, which would be a very good thing for the United States and the world.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Weekday mornings at 3, right before Joe Piscopo at 6 on AM 970. The Answer.
All right, Kevin McCullough, have you ever had a legal question pertaining to elder law or estate law and wondered to yourself, what's the best course of action to take? Every Thursday during Kevin McCullough Radio at 5 o'clock on AM 970 The Answer, you'll hear Mike Connors of Connors & Sullivan Attorneys at Law answer a listener's actual question. If you have a legal question for Mike Connors, the Ask the Lawyer host, simply email the question to askmikeconnors@gmail.com. Or call the Legal Question of the Week phone line at 347-735-MIKE. That's 347-735-6453. And don't forget to tune in to Ask the Lawyer with Mike Connors every Saturday evening at 6 on AM 970 The Answer.
New York's homeless crisis is out of control. City Hall doesn't support our men and women in uniform, and the days when you can get to work on time are a distant memory. We need to turn things around and quickly. I'm City Councilman Joe Borelli, and I'm running for re-election. I fight for the outer boroughs. I fight for Staten Island. As the listeners of this station know, City Hall is out of touch with what we stand for. If you don't want to see every aspect of city government dominated by liberal Democrats, make sure you vote for me on the Republican, Conservative, Independent, or Reform Party lines. Together, let's take on de Blasio and the Democrats.
It's the final countdown.
To learn more, visit josephborelli.com or find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
The final countdown.
Paid for by Borelli 2017.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I used to take 7 vitamin supplements, and I still felt sluggish at times. But with Balance of Nature, I don't feel sluggish at all. Don't do what I did. I took 7 different supplements, vitamin supplements, and they really didn't help in the long run. I still felt sluggish. But with Balance of Nature, I have the extra boost of energy, and I thank you. Thank you all again. I really, really mean it.
What are you waiting for? Good health is just a phone call away. Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code The Answer.
Tweet us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. We're everywhere. AM 970. TheAnswer.com. Breaking news as it happens. You're listening to Kevin McCullough Radio.
I'm tired of being taken advantage of as a nation. This nation has been taken advantage of for many, many years, for many decades, frankly, and I'm tired of watching it. But the Iran deal was something that I felt had to be done, and we'll see what phase 2 is.
You know, I remember back in the election cycle, and I remember my next guest saying to me constantly, Kevin, think about the motivation for why this guy is running for president. And, of course, today there's, media all over the place, and they're saying all kinds of things. And it's interesting that, when they want to say, well, he was such a disgusting human being when it came to women. Now, that side's icon is the poster child for the issue in a way that Trump never even came close to. But what is very interesting to me about that soundbite that I just played is the first part of it. In fact, Alex, play the soundbite again, just the first portion.
I'm tired of being taken advantage of as a nation. This nation has been taken advantage of for many, many years, for many decades, frankly, and I'm tired of watching it. That speaks to motivation. Why did he run for president? Because I think he got tired of seeing what was happening to this country. And that was something that my next guest continually reminded me of in the primary and in the election cycle. Dr. Gina Loudon is her name. She writes for FoxNews.com, and you see her all over the Fox News channel and the Fox Business channel. Dr. Gina, welcome back. Good to have you.
It's great to be with you, Kevin.
And it's really true. We're closing in on the first calendar year of the president's time in office. Another couple of months are going to be done, and there's a lot of stuff yet to get done before the end of the year. But I think that the American people kind of like the fact that this guy takes the bull by the horns and says, I'm tired of watching us get pushed around here. I'm pushing back.
I think it's just fascinating to see someone actually have to remind everyone around him all the time that this was the platform he ran on. It's really so easy if you think about it to these politicians who, the problem is, and we talked about this many times, Kevin, it is truly the swamp. It is the apparatus. It is the consultants. It is because they commit all their money, all their dedication to these consultants. The consultants take credit for getting them elected and getting them campaign donations. And then whatever they said in their campaign promises never matters once they're elected. This president knows exactly what he told the American people. He owes it to no one, right? No consultant owns him. No donor owns him. So his duty is to the American people. He's about keeping his campaign promises, and I think that is ideally that's the way politics should work. It shouldn't have to be a billionaire to get us there. It'd be nice if we could figure out a way that a middle-class person could run for office and not be bought and paid for by the time they got there. It's something the American people are going to have to reconcile.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I think it kind of takes a billionaire that has gotten there the way he has, meaning that he's worked and grown it and continued to expand it over time in order to really understand kind of how he masterfully attacks an agenda. And, he had lunch with Mitch McConnell today. I would have given anything to be a fly on that wall.
Right.
Mitch, we're going to get some stuff done before the end of the year, and you're going to help me, right? But beside that, when he made his statement from the conference room, that statement, by the way, came from earlier today, people were like, hey, listen to his tone. I think he's probably had a bazillion meetings around conference tables, the majority of his adult life. And I bet you that 99% of them have that same tone. It's the job. I'm showing up to get it done. I've got to do it. Here's what we're going to do. You guys want to ask a bunch of silly questions, whatever. You want to talk about my Twitter feed, whatever. Here's what we're doing. And I think that part of the reason you're starting to see his approval rating kind of creep up a little bit is that I think the middle of America is starting to really figure out that this guy is just on the job 24/7.
Look, the Dow Jones at 23,000. The economy is thriving. Jobs are coming back. People are optimistic. Consumer confidence at remarkable high levels. And you look at that and you think, he is winning. And when you have even people like Lindsey Graham, who initially they couldn't stand the thought of Trump because, of course, he was going to dismantle the existing apparatus that has kept them all in a very cushy place for so long. You even have Lindsey Graham breaking ranks with McCain. And you think about that for a minute and you think, wow, I mean, he has upset the political apple cart in ways that I think people like you and I could only have dreamed of back in the founding days of the Tea Party when we were talking about how our own party needed to reform itself. Who knew that our reformer would come in the form of Donald Trump? I could have never guessed it, Kevin, until he came down that escalator that day, and I started thinking about motivators because it's my natural bent to go toward psychology and what is motivating someone. And when I realized there was no real good reason he would do this selfishly, then it started to make sense to me, and that's what you talked about at the intro.
Yeah, it had to be of bigger purpose. Well, the Iran deal in particular, Dr. Gina, it was pushed through with John Kerry and Barack Obama, a little bit of Hillary Clinton, but mostly John Kerry and Barack Obama kind of formulating it. It never went through Congress. It never had the fingerprints of We the People on it. And now that he's, in essence, kicking it to the Congress, a lot of the liberal Democrats are screaming about, how there's not proper the process here. And I'm like, but wait a minute. You're representatives of the people. You should like this. This is the process that you're there for. You're supposed to get to weigh in on this.
And that's exactly right. I mean, this has gone on for so long where our politicians have told us, look what we did, aren't we wonderful? And we're all kind of left scratching our heads going, okay, just because you did something doesn't mean that what you did was good or that it moves the ball forward for the United States in any way, shape, or form. This president is a results-oriented president. He is not a linear thinker. He is able to juggle a bunch of balls, keep them all in the air all at one time, and to be able to be thinking strategically the whole time, playing chess, as you and I have said many times. And that's what none of these politicians were ready for. But, the great thing about this, Kevin, it so defines the swamp. It so defines the left for the do-nothing people that they have been for the last 8 years.
And the deadweight Republicans that are contributing to it, too. Like, you see them all for what they are. Well, it's always interesting to get your insights, Dr. Gina, and always appreciate it. Watch her all over the Fox News channel, the Fox Business Network, and read her at foxnews.com. You can also follow her on Twitter. She is a delight, and I'm so grateful that she spends time with us each Monday as well. Dr. Gina, we'll talk to you soon.
Great to be with you, Kevin. Thank you.
Dr. Gina Loudon on Kevin McCullough Radio. We've got a lot yet to come today. It's a Money Monday. We're going to talk about the markets. You've heard about the Dow doing well. Well, it's not done yet. Stay with us.
News, opinion, passion. This is AM 970, The Answer.
We have generally cloudy skies with peaks of sun on this Monday evening. It's 56 degrees. What's going on? We have the answer. Former President Barack Obama will be in New Jersey later this week. He's campaigning for Phil Murphy, who is the Democrat running to become New Jersey's next governor in the upcoming November election. Obama will be attending an event at the Robert Treat Hotel in Newark Thursday afternoon. Former Vice President Joe Biden was in the state last week supporting Murphy, who has a double-digit lead in recent polls over Republican candidate and Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno. Governor Christie's second and final term ends in January. Students are protesting at Cliffside Park High School after a teacher apparently told Spanish-speaking students to speak American. Scott Pringle has more.
Well, cell phone video appears to show the teacher getting agitated at students talking in Spanish. This was last Thursday in class, and the teacher in the video then tells the students that soldiers are not fighting for your right to speak Spanish, but fighting for you to speak American. Dozens of students walked out of class in protest.
It was really offensive to me. People have been saying that this is not her first time saying those racist remarks.
I mean, how's she going to work here with all these different cultures?
She shouldn't be let back into the school. There's already a lot of hate.
No comment from the school district. Outside Cliffside Park High School, Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New Jersey.
In sports, Game 3 of the American League Championship Series tonight at the stadium in the Bronx between the Yankees and the Astros. First pitch in this very important game is at 8:08. Taking a look at the traffic, outbound side of the Holland Tunnel, a 20 to 30-minute delay, 15 minutes on the citybound side. Outbound side of the Lincoln Tunnel, 20 minutes. Citybound about 20 to 25 minutes. In the George Washington Bridge, not bad in the toll plaza, but you will be jammed right across the span. We are looking at some delays here on the northbound side of 1 and 9 in New Jersey, just north of 78. It's a water main break, and the right lane is out of service. Mostly clear skies tonight. It will be breezy. Overnight low of 43, but cooler than that north and west of the city. Sunshine tomorrow, high of 60. Warmer on Wednesday with a high of 70 degrees in the afternoon with lots of sun. And now you know what's going on. I am Mike Barker on AM 970, The Answer.
Nakba, Arabic for disaster. Incredibly, David Myers, new Center for Jewish History president, calls the founding of the State of Israel Nakba, a total disaster. But David Myers wants his fellow Jews to be quiet. We won't. Myers supports targeted boycott of Israeli businesses. He's on the new Israel Fund Board, financing groups advocating boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel. Myers, J Street Advisory Council member. They malign Israel, calling Jews oppressors and occupiers. Myers says Israel's old city of Jerusalem sovereignty is illegal. Tired of people like David Myers trashing Israel? Join us. Protest Myers' hiring as president of the Center for Jewish History, Wednesday, October 18th from 5 to 8 p.m. at 15 West 16th Street in Manhattan. Join Americans for a Safe Israel and jccwatch.org. Tell David Myers that he and those who support him are the true Nakba. Gary Goldberg has shared his insights on the markets and financial industry for over 3 decades as host of Money Matters, now on AM 970 The Answer, Sundays at noon. Each week, Gary helps you navigate the markets, world politics, and economic news affecting your investments. He also talks with an interesting array of guests. Catch Money Matters with Gary Goldberg, Sundays at noon on AM 970 The Answer. Listen to a special encore broadcast of New Jersey's Next Governor with Steve Adubato tonight at 8 on AM 970, The Answer.
What you need to know when you need it. It's Kevin McCullough Radio.
So glad you're with us. It's Kevin McCullough Radio, and lots yet to come today. We've got Look at Your Money and the Markets coming up next. But some breaking news this hour. The judge has said that the corruption trial, the charges are going to stand in Bob Menendez's case in the state of New Jersey. And what's interesting about this, and this is indeed very interesting, is that while Chris Christie is still the governor of New Jersey, and depending on who wins the governor's race next month, if Kim Guadagno won, they would be able to pick the Senate senator, that would then fill out the remainder of the term for the current Bob Menendez. So the federal judge presiding over the trial dealt a serious setback to Menendez on Monday, refusing to dismiss any of the charges in the case. He denied a motion to throw out the bribery charges and ensures that the case will be given to a jury to decide the lawmaker's fate. After the decision, Menendez said only, looking forward to putting out all of our defense, as he left the courthouse following the trial's adjournment for the day. The judge ruled against the defense arguments that the charges should be dropped because they didn't meet a narrow definition of bribery under the 2016 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that reversed the conviction of Republican former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell on corruption charges. Menendez is charged with accepting free flights on a private jet, other gifts from a wealthy Florida doctor, Solomon Melgen, in exchange for pressuring government officials to take actions favorable toward his friend's business interests. And, it's been trying to find the light of day on the other networks. Hardly anyone has covered what is a fairly significant corruption trial by a fairly significant, if not highly influential, Democratic senator. And maybe it's just that, there's such cover in the press that they're saying, well, we don't want to. We just don't want to. But this is significant, and the judge is saying, nope, not a single one of them are going to be thrown out. This is all going to – I've got a bad feeling, by the way, for Mr. Menendez. I've got a bad feeling. I think he's probably going to be found guilty. You don't see this much of a fight and judges sticking to their guns so strongly, particularly of fairly sympathetic public figures, if there wasn't significant – evidence that a conviction is likely. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know if it's going to be, Bob Menendez. His idea of, well, we're going to get all the defense out there. Well, haven't you been putting all the defense out there? And it didn't convince anyone on the indictment, and it didn't convince the judge on the trial. Now you're going to trial. So maybe a jury of his peers will find differently. I don't know. Anyway, other news that I wanted to get to today. Did you see the story? Speaking of New Jersey, did you see the story over the weekend? Now, the governor's race, has anybody told you there's a governor's race going on in New Jersey? And Kim Guadagno has had a devastating ad out on the airwaves for the last few weeks. If you live in the Garden State, you've probably seen it. Cut 5.
Illegal alien and child rapist Jose Carranza shot 4 New Jersey students in the head. 3 died, shattering their families. When asked about deporting criminal illegals, Phil Murphy said,
"My bias is going to be having their back."
Make no mistake, Murphy will have the backs of deranged murderers like Carranza, providing sanctuary in New Jersey.
Will be a sanctuary, not just city, but state.
Murphy doesn't have our backs. He has theirs. Phil Murphy, too dangerous for New Jersey.
Now, first of all, Lieutenant Governor Guadagno's media team have been on it. Her ads have been spot on. Actually, Maliotakis' ads in New York City have looked very good, too. They haven't done a ton of them, but the ones they've done have been very effective. But this one is devastating. And Murphy didn't like it, and his team didn't like it. And so over the weekend, there was this press release circulating in New Jersey on behalf of the Democrats, on behalf of Phil Murphy, and it included more than a dozen Hispanic pastors' names supposedly publicly denouncing the Republican gubernatorial candidate Kim Guadagno. The problem is that the pastors did not give permission, did not endorse the release, did not agree with the release. So you have these pastors' names, these Hispanic pastors' names being circulated as being, mad at Guadagno because she linked Murphy to that killing by the illegal alien. Well, the dozen or so Hispanic pastors came out and said, no, we've got no problem with Lieutenant Governor. In fact, one of them sits on her advisory board. When Phil Murphy's team got caught, they created a fake organization by which all these Hispanic pastors were supposedly affiliated. They put forged names on the press release. It's just a sign, friend, that Murphy's going to cheat to try to win. He is. He's going to do it. Money Monday next. David Fisher, don't go away.
Mike Gallagher here again for one of my all-time, and I mean all-time favorite sponsors, ReliefFactor.com. My story is simple. I had a hip replaced, then I had a motorcycle accident, left me in pain, simply wouldn't go away until I started taking Relief Factor. A 3-week quick start is just $19.95. 80% of people who do order the 3-week quick start go on to order more, like me. Go to ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com, or give them a call. 800-500-8384, 800-500-8384, ReliefFactor.com.
Are you looking for a radio show that gives you straight talk, common sense, and the facts? Are you looking for a media outlet which offers all points of view? If the answer is yes, then listen to the Cats Roundtable every Sunday morning starting at 8:30, right here on AM 970, The Answer. The Cats Roundtable is hosted by John Katzimatidis, a successful businessman who came to this country as an immigrant and built a multi-billion-dollar business empire. He's met presidents, world leaders, governors, mayors, congressmen, state legislators, and you'll hear them all on the Cats Roundtable. Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, liberals, and everything else you can imagine. You won't just hear their take on the news. You'll hear them make the news, whether it's local, national news, or international news. You can read about it in the newspaper on Monday, but hear it first on the Cats Roundtable. Sunday mornings at 8:30, right after Morano in the Morning. Only on AM 970, The Answer.
Introducing the Islanders Ticket Bank, offering the ultimate in flexibility.
Bailey cruises to the front, dances, scores!
You choose the games, you choose the seats, and you choose the number of tickets.
Bailey over the flame line, drops on Tavares, walks in, shoots and scores!
Get the games you want when you want them by calling 844-33-ISLES or by visiting islanders.nhl.com/bank.
New York's homeless crisis is out of control. City Hall doesn't support our men and women in uniform, and the days when you can get to work on time are a distant memory. We need to turn things around and quickly. I'm City Councilman Joe Borelli, and I'm running for re-election. I fight for the outer boroughs. I fight for Staten Island. As the listeners of this station know, City Hall is out of touch with what we stand for. If you don't want to see every aspect of city government dominated by liberal Democrats, make sure you vote for me on the Republican, Conservative, Independents, or Reform Party lines. Together, let's take on de Blasio and the Democrats.
It's the final countdown.
To learn more, visit josephborelli.com or find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
The final countdown.
Paid for by Borelli 2017.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. What if I could promise you that you would get better sleep than you've ever gotten in your entire life, or your money back? That's right, better sleep than you've ever experienced, or you don't have to pay for what gives you that sleep. That's the MyPillow, and that's the promise that Mike Lindell has made to every one of my listeners, and he's going to offer it to you at 50% off. He's not offering it to everyone at 50% off, but he's offering it to you at 50% off. In fact, everything on the MyPillow website is now 50% off if you use our promo code. I'm Kevin McCullough, and I want you to know that Mike Lindell is committed to the best sleep of your life. He's willing to guarantee it, and if you're not convinced in the first 60 days, full refund, no questions asked. But then he's going to warranty those products, especially the pillows, for the next 10 years. They're made in America, they're machine washable and dryable, and he wants you to get started getting better sleep now. 800-506-2641. That's 800-506-2641. 800-506-2641. Call right now at 1-800-506-2641.
Don't let this one get away. Ford's Jewelers will be giving away a state-of-the-art Movado watch valued at over $1,000 at the Salem Business Breakfast on October 19th at the Wanacue Academic Center at Passaic County Community College, just off 287. Don't miss a free gourmet breakfast from DR Catering, a live radio broadcast with the Piscopo in the Morning Show, a panel on effective marketing led by industry experts, and the chance to win a beautiful Movado watch. Time is running out, so register for your free ticket at am970theanswer.com.
Breaking news and local news. Find it on our website, am970theanswer.com.
Look around, how lucky we are to be alive right now. Look around, how lucky we are to be alive right now. History is happening in Manhattan, and we just happen to be in the greatest city in the world,
If it's happening in New York or across the globe, learn why it matters first on Kevin McCullough Radio.
All right, it's Kevin McCullough's Monday, and it's the start of the week, the big week if you're looking at the headlines, because the market has flirted with 23,000 on and off all day. You've also got some big changes that are going to impact people in terms of costs of health care. And there's still a lot of stuff that the president wants to get done before the year is over, and he's been talking about that in public sessions today with both himself from the White House and then he and Mitch McConnell a little bit later in the afternoon. But joining us is the CEO of Landmark Capital, and David Fisher always has insights on what's going on. And David, the big news last week, and it was a huge end around for the president. He said, "Okay, Congress, we've given you multiple chances to deal with this, and you're choosing not to," pulling out the pen and phone of the Obama time. So I'm going executive order on you, and he did it. One of those things, it affects a lot of different areas, but was the executive order on health care for this temporary kind of Band-Aid type measure, is it going to be effective, and do you like it?
Yes, and yes. I like a lot of aspects of it. Going across state lines, Kevin, always produces competition, so healthcare costs should come down. I like that ability. I love what he did with scrapping what you call the CSRs, which is the cost-sharing reduction. It's something that President Obama put into effect and practice, subsidizing health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, even though that was never been appropriated by Congress, to the tune of $8 billion, $9 billion a year. President Trump took that away, And because he said we're just making the stock companies rich. And in fact, some numbers to prove that. In the last 5 years, the 4 major stock companies that support Obamacare are up between 228% to 263%, and this year to date, 17 to 30%. So definitely they are moving those stock companies up in the health industry. But the challenge might be is if he does withdraw this, and it's going to be could be up to $100 billion in the next 10 years, companies might not be able to subsidize the low-income people, so that might be affecting them. So it's still yet to be determined, and actually the rollout, how it will really look after the fact.
Sure. Well, and then he's talking about hopefully getting the actual legislative vote done in January. So, if it does just hold the Band-Aid for a couple of months, maybe that's a good thing. But why do I feel pessimistic that Congress won't get it done in January? Why am I so doubtful of that? Anyway, that's a different. I need to see a psychologist for that one. So we didn't get health care yet. We don't have a finalized budget, though the House passed it out of their chamber. Is that going to get passed? And if we don't, do we get tax cuts? What's the financial formula between now and the end of the year?
My comments might need the name of that psychologist also with you. I don't know if we're going to get it passed. We have gridlock in Congress, and that's the bottom line. We just can't seem to get anything moving, and I think part of it is just Democrats not wanting to get on board with anything, even some good news for the American people. Because tax cuts is not Democratic or Republican. It's an American thing, and we have the highest tax code in the history of the world. And we're just talking about revamping it since it's not been adjusted in 30 years. I mean, that's just a normal thing.
Well, you would hope, and it should be, but we're gonna have to wait and see. There does seem to be, I don't know, the way I'm reading Capitol Hill right now, there does seem to be a lot of energy for it, and I think even the Republicans are more unified than they've been on the other issues. The question will be, can they peel off a Democrat or two in the Senate? And if they can get a Manchin or someone like that to cross the aisle, then I think we're going to get it done. And those tax cuts, and I don't know, did the president rule out retroactivity so it wouldn't go back to the beginning of 2017, but at least it would get into play by 2018?
I don't think anything has been etched in stone, and I have not heard that he's ruled that out as of yet.
All right. Well, it's interesting, and we will continue to watch that. Now, the Dow has had a kind of an ambitious day today. The 23,000 mark is something that we've not seen. Another big territory. What's the outlook for this? I mean, because people kind of thought, with the rates kind of inching up the last couple of weeks, that's going to kind of undermine that. Seems like it hasn't. And, is this going to continue through the end of the year?
People thought rates inching up. People thought going to war. People thought not passing a health care bill. The market is on its own legs and is ignoring just about everything. We've gone a very long time without so much of it as a modest correction, but there's an old saying, Kevin, that stocks often climb a wall of worry. So there is a little undertone of worry still in the marketplace of being overvalued, but yet it still keeps plugging away. I think, though, there was one thing that once the Fed really starts to unravel the balance sheet, and they're supposed to start here relatively soon in the next month, when that starts to happen, not immediately, but the ramifications has proven 5 out of 6 times we've ended up in a recession when the Fed has done this. And that was in interest rates not going up. Interest rates going up now at the same time, and a balance sheet on our government level that's totally unfunded, and we're spending more than we're taking in, obviously. We're in an area that we've never been in before, so who knows what the outcome may be, but I don't think it's going to be a positive one. I think there's going to be some sort of correction eventually.
Yeah, and that word correction it should be understood to be as scary as what we think it is, because it just means that things have been a little out of perspective and wrongfully valued, right? I mean, that's what a correction does. It goes back and says, no, this is actually what the worth of the market is.
There's not too many people that are saying the market isn't overvalued. The majority, I'd say over 90%, are saying the market is overvalued. We've moved well beyond the metrics of what a good, normal, valued stock should be, and it's hard to find valued stocks right now. So this creating a bubble, and bubbles do burst.
Yeah. All right. We're speaking with David Fisher. It's Money Monday, and the new newsletter that he's got is called Black Gold for Yellow Gold, the trade that changes the world. Real quickly, you're optimistic that even in the good stock market, the gold market's still looking good?
Gold is up 13.1%, and while stocks in the Dow are up 15.7%, doing what I thought it would do.
Wow, it's performing almost as well in this record stock market. That's pretty encouraging, especially if you, friend, are invested in gold. And if you would like to know more about how you should be and why you should be, David's people are more than willing to sit and discuss with you your changing economic outlook and what you need to do in these changing times to take a look at it. 844-604-2575 to get the newsletter.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
We are looking at close to a 30-minute delay at the outbound Holland Tunnel. Citybound about a 15-minute delay. Outbound Lincoln Tunnel 15 to 20 minutes, and citybound close to that 45-minute mark. GW Bridge into and out of the city, at least for the moment, not bad on the span. We will talk about the approaches to the GW Bridge in just a moment, but I have to talk about the Turnpike in New Jersey as well, as northbound truck lanes completely closed as you come up on exit number 10 in Edison. It's an accident involving an overturned dump truck and a debris spill, and traffic's being diverted into the car lanes. That debris is sand, and it's all over the roadway. That translates into an extended operation there on the Turnpike. Northbound West Side Highway, we're jammed up in Manhattan, north of 79th Street, right up to the GW Bridge. FDR northbound, we're slow from the 30s up to the RFK Triborough, then slow on the ramp to the GW Bridge. Lots of volume in and around Yankee Stadium on both sides of the Deegan. To throw an accident in northbound right in front of the stadium, well, that's not a good thing, but the left lane is out of service. And now you know how not to go. I am Mike Barker on AM 970, The Answer.
Tired of dealing with dummies? Experience the smart way to buy a car at Route 22 Toyota. No hidden fees, no back and forth, no pressure, and no wasting time with dummies. Alex Cancella, the general manager, prides himself on his low lease offers and 0% APR financing for up to 72 months for qualified buyers. And now my buddy Alex wants you to experience their new smart way to service. He's taking the same smart approach that's been so successful in selling cars into the service bay. So he said, Joe, I'm going to let you give the first 5 callers in the next 5 minutes a free multi-point inspection and oil change and filter if they call 855-621-9949 and say, Joe sent me. 855-621-9949. In the next 5 minutes, get a free oil change and filter on me. 855-621-9949 and say, this one's on Joe. Route 22 Toyota, Route 22 West in Hillside, New Jersey, or at Route22Toyota.com. Tell them Joe sent you for the free oil change. All European makes excluded.
Nakba, Arabic for disaster. Incredibly, David Myers, new Center for Jewish History president, calls the founding of the State of Israel Nakba, a total disaster. But David Myers wants his fellow Jews to be quiet. We won't. Myers supports targeted boycott of Israeli businesses. He's on the new Israel Fund Board, financing groups advocating boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel. Myers, J Street Advisory Council member. They malign Israel, calling Jews oppressors and occupiers. Myers says Israel's old city of Jerusalem sovereignty is illegal. Tired of people like David Myers trashing Israel? Join us. Protest Myers' hiring as president of the Center for Jewish History, Wednesday, October 18th from 5 to 8 p.m. at 15 West 16th Street in Manhattan. Join Americans for a Safe Israel and jccwatch.org. Tell David Myers that he and those who support him are the true Nakba.
We're all busy, but our health comes first.
I've got this mammogram scheduled. When is your colonoscopy?
Screening increases the chances of detecting certain cancers early, when treatment can be most effective.
Yeah, right.
Make time to schedule your screening appointment now.
Hello, I'm Mary Frances Faso. My husband, Congressman John Faso, and I urge you to talk to your doctor about cancer screenings you may need. Make your appointment today and keep it.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Don't let this one get away. Ford's Jewelers will be giving away a state-of-the-art Movado watch valued at over $1,000 at the Salem Business Breakfast on October 19th at the Wanacue Academic Center at Passaic County Community College, just off 287. Don't miss a free gourmet breakfast from DR Catering, a live radio broadcast with the Piscopo in the Morning Show, a panel on effective marketing led by industry experts, and the chance to win a beautiful Movado watch. Time is running out, so register for your free ticket at am970theanswer.com. When you need legal assistance, call Dan Buttafuoco and Associates. They'll show you care and compassion. 1-800-NOW-HURT. That's 1-800-NOW-HURT.
Jay Sekulow live is next on AM 970. The Answer. What you need to know when you need it. It's Kevin McCullough Radio.
It was a pretty interesting day today. There was some big news from the Department of HHS. Nobody covered it, but they made an announcement today. The department's new report shows that the Department of Health and Human Services will now define life as beginning at conception, and my tax dollars rejoiced. If babies are babies, if they're human beings, and if they are alive, and at conception they are entirely human and they are entirely alive. They are not canine, they're not feline, they're not lion, they're not giraffe. They are human, and they are alive. Then our law and our government should be protecting that human life. The Department of HHS now says that it will in its new policy guidelines. So, yay. I've got details on that up at the Facebook page if you want to go see it. There was also kind of a cool thing today. Kimberly Strassel, my buddy over at the Wall Street Journal, went into in-depth reporting today about how far ahead Donald Trump is on the judges issue. He's already appointed more judges this year than President Obama got to in his first full year in office, and he still has a couple of months to go. He's put 60 in. There's about 160 vacancies or people that need to be replaced. And he could get to that. He could get a large chunk of that done even before we're done this year. So we'll see where we stand. But Strassel makes the case that we are completely remaking the judiciary top to bottom with textualists and originalists, which are my kind of judges. What does the Constitution actually say, and what does it mean? That's my kind of judge, and so I've got details on that up at the Facebook page as well. But I got an example of something that I just got to draw attention to, because this stupid NFL boycott has persisted way beyond its 15 minutes of fame. And yesterday, I actually got a text from an old buddy. And he goes, "Man, I'm so glad that we're not going to see any more, silly mess with this kneeling during the anthem controversy." And I was glad too. And then I read about what happened at the Saints game yesterday. Did you hear about this? The New Orleans fans booed one of their own players because he didn't just kneel during the national anthem, which he did, but they were honoring, get this, an African-American police officer killed in the line of duty last Friday. So an African-American police officer killed in the line of duty, being a faithful servant to the public. He was killed in his official duties. They held a moment that they were holding a moment of observation for him. And the idiot New Orleans Saints players that were anti the national anthem took a knee during that too. Which just goes to show you the people that are doing this, they don't even know why they're doing it. And they're being completely disrespectful in the process. Made me mad. I'm Kevin McCullough. We'll see you next time.